episode 5 of the All Things Nothing podcast. Hope everybody's doing well. Doing good here. Surviving at least. Holding on until this whole quarantine thing finally decides to wrap up, which would be really nice if it did sooner than later. But yeah, let's see. Nice sunshiny weather out there. A little bit of lightning, a little bit of thunder. But was able to enjoy it and get some things done. And yeah, I hope you guys had fun. But I just kind of wanted to almost jump right into it, really. What have you guys been playing? How was your weekend? What did you play? Did you play anything as far as gaming-wise go, or were you busy doing house stuff? With Minecraft Dungeons releasing last week, I definitely got my fair share of that in, and was playing some Call of Duty, some Warzone last night with the boys, which was good, and that's always a good time, slaying and roasting each other and fighting back and forth, especially in Warzone. So we have a lot of fun there. A lot of different skill gaps and a lot of different fun things that occur. We actually do a dad night stream on Sunday nights if you guys are ever interested in watching. I don't stream because I just don't have the capability right now. But two of my friends do. I was just going to go ahead and give them a shout out. At Laserhawk05 over on Mixer is where you can watch him on Sunday nights. And I believe it's at Freud, and you can watch him on Twitch on Sundays as well. And they stream each of their perspectives, and then I'm in there as well. And we play games and have our so-called quote-unquote dad night. As we all have kids and families, and it's our one time to sort of play games together a week. But yeah, then we go back, college buddies, living together and playing games and having a good time. But yeah, check us out on Sunday if you want. We usually start around 8:30 primarily and go from there. A lot of bit of news this week. It's a busy week, busy week this week. Let's see, tomorrow, June 2nd, we have Valorant officially being released by Riot tomorrow. It's already starting to release in Australia. It's coming up here in, I think, Korea and Taiwan. In that part of the world, it's already starting to be released. So it'll be released, sounds like it'll be released almost here at midnight. In our time zone. So, pay attention to that. There's a lot of new updates with that. I'm going to touch on some of the updates they finally actually confirmed. Let's see. The public launch, as I said before, is on June 2nd. The new mode is going to be called Spike Rush, and from how it differs from the rest of the gameplay is that most of the games that you're going to play probably a 30-minute game, maybe more, maybe less. They're about 30 to 40 minutes long. The Spike Rush mode is approximately 8 to 12 minutes in length, and it is a quick-paced, fast to match. There are going to include temporary buffs, temporary buffs like speed boost is one such power-up, and there's a few other power-ups they mentioned, but they haven't really confirmed yet because they're kind of waiting for that official launch for agents, for your team and everything like that. So that looks like a fun sort of push forward, go, have fun, shoot as fast as you can, and a lot different, varying from your 30 to 40 minute game where it's a little bit more tactical, and you need to set up counters and manage your economy. So a little bit different than that. There's a new operator, or a new agent is what they call them, coming, and I wasn't able to find information, but I know that they had a video up on Twitter. They announced their battle pass. As for the battle pass, it's going to cost 1,000 Valorant points, or i.e. $10, which isn't too bad. I mean, that's kind of the normal battle pass cost, is everybody's sort of $10 there. And they haven't really shown any new info on the battle pass as far as rewards, but I mean, as things start to roll out, you'll probably start seeing news updates and a bunch of updates. So on what is going to be offered, and probably take a look yourself at midnight if you want. And then last but not least, going back to the agent, but their new agent is named Reina, and nobody really got to try her out during the beta because she hadn't been released yet, but she is a one-woman army is how she's sort of being described. So, and she has a lot of different playstyles, and I've seen a lot of devs sort of discuss it, but there hasn't been really like confirmed gameplay. I mean, nobody's got to really play her, so but she has a lot of tactical and tools available to her, and she can divide and conquer objectives, or plan to push, or sit back. So there's a lot of utility that she comes with, and I think that the players will be nice to play with her. But yeah, are you excited for the June 2nd release? Are you excited for the new Battle Pass? Valorant all in general, I know the beta was a big hit, and hopefully, it continues its steam, and it looked like I played it myself. It was a fun game, a lot of different abilities and tributes. I mean, I sort of stayed to one agent and maybe needed to try out a few others, but I had my quote-unquote main operator and agent, and it was Ray's. Highly controversial at first. She's got a nice rocket launcher. She's got a bot that'll chase people down if she sees them, and she's got grenades as well. So quite a bit of utility with her, and she is one of my favorites because you can sort of push and almost run around as you please, and even if they hear you, you can set up traps and bots to sort of help defend you against that. That's sort of who I made. I played the other beginners, Cypher, who was free to begin with. Didn't really play him a lot. I played a lot of Rays. So she's sort of my main go-to person right now. But yeah, who's your main in Valorant? Are you excited for Valorant? I definitely am. I'm definitely going to be checking out the new update when it comes, as I assume a lot of my friends are going to be wanting to play, and go from there. And then the next thing, so we got Valorant tomorrow, and then on the 3rd, we have the new Call of Duty update for multiplayer and for Warzone. I'm primarily just looking at the Warzone. That's what I have. I don't own Call of Duty multiplayer. I just own the Warzone portion of it. I mean, it's free, so I didn't buy the multiplayer. I own the Warzone, though. But the new update there, the new event, over the last 2 weeks, there was Easter eggs, there was maps, you could find telephones on the map that were speaking in Russian, and you had to decode them into their perspective number. So people and streamers and gamers were learning Russian over the past 2 weeks to try to decipher these Russian codes and these, let's see, there was... oh man, what was it? It just skipped my mind. But yeah, you had people speaking in Russian. There was Morse code. There it is. That's what I was trying to think of. Morse code things that you had to figure out as well in order to lead to a different objective. And then there's 11 different bunkers. There's 10 bunkers that you can open up with red access keycards that release into the game. And then the 11th bunker, you need to follow a series of objectives in order to open up bunker 11. But there's plenty of walkthroughs and playthroughs on how to do that. But it sort of led people to nice goose chase for the last 2 weeks in Warzone. We saw those in Fortnite. Like, they had different special events that allowed you to do things, and we're seeing that in Warzone too, which is nice. And I think it culminated into the dam being the primary focus at the end, and possibly you see cracks in the dam now, which would lead one to believe that there's going to be some map changes. Also in Bunker 11, if you haven't seen, but there is a spoiler, a undetonated nuke that you can see. So we don't know what that means or what that entails. But that could definitely be a game changer here. But the new Warzone, the new all of that Call of Duty update is coming out on June 3rd. And you're seeing some new guns released. You're seeing some new map changes being released. Nothing has been exactly confirmed as far as the new stuff goes, but you are seeing a lot of people call for nerfs to the quote-unquote current meta, and what that means. But Captain Price from Modern Warfare, the original series, as far as Modern Warfare 1, 4, I guess, moves like Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. Captain Price is returning, and he's been doing these fun cameos on these streamers' networks. That has been quite a bit of fun to watch. And he sort of memes on different streamers. Quite funny. So they did a good job there as far as putting those together. So new update drops. Look for new battle pass, new free stuff, new map changes hopefully there, and new guns, and maybe a new defining meta for those games, which would be awesome to see. Yeah. Let's jump into topic 1. I kind of wanted to cover and do a hot take / review of Minecraft Dungeons. I downloaded that game last week, and it is a lot of fun. People were saying initially it was a lot like Diablo. If you don't know what Diablo is, and Diablo, in sort of the genre of the games that I'm going to be talking about, are sort of an action adventure / dungeon crawler. So you have these procedurally generated dungeons that you can crawl through, and they're often very times different. I mean, there's probably a set iteration of each map, but I've been on the map multiple times and loaded into multiples, and there's a lot of different iterations, and they change constantly. But I mean, they sort of, and you still, it's the same map. It's just not the same map, but it's the same enemies and same boss at the end. But it's a sort of loot. You sort of get through, you power up, you level up. You have 2 different level types. So you have your base level, which is the level you need to level up, and then you have a quote-unquote power level, which is based on your weapons that you pick up and your artifacts that you pick up, and that's how you increase your power level. So you have your levels that give you enchantment points, so you can better equip your weapons and body armor and bow and arrow with different perks to help level up there. And then you have your power level. And I think the max right now, I've seen some 108 drops from people, but I think that the highest right now that it can drop is 108, 107. But you have to, it's just sort of a luck thing, and you just got to grind for that high tier loot. I don't know a lot of people that are even that high right now or have maxed out level, but because it is quite the grind. But people are doing it. I mean, people beat the story, and then people beat it on the story mode difficulty, and then there's adventure mode difficulty, and there is apocalypse difficulty. Each iteration has more and more loot, more and more harder enemies, and more strategies and objectives. Also, there's loot tied to each level. Sort of your story-based level, you're dealing with, just sort of base level loot. There's only a certain loot pool that is available to you, and then once you get to Apocalypse, it opens up everything, and there's loot that you hadn't seen maybe on your first run and your adventure run that you hadn't seen yet that'll pop up through your apocalyptic run. It's quite in depth. There is a lot of secrets that can be taken. You can look on your map and see how many secrets there are. I mean, even though you can see the amount of secrets there are existing when you get to the map and the amount of chests that you can see, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's not more to be found, which I find is quite often the case. But yeah, it is an enjoyable game. It is a fun game. It takes me back to when I was a kid. I bought a game. I went to Best Buy. I mean, this was like late 1990s. early 2000s, where Best Buy was sort of like the big thing, big name. You could go to the store. But I remember I had a PlayStation 2, and there was a game that I went, and I don't know why I bought it. I mean, it was on sale for like $20 or something like that, called Champions of Norath. And I picked that game up. I didn't know what it was, but it looked very cool. And I proceeded to play the heck out of that game quite a bit. There was 3 different levels, sort of like Minecraft Dungeons. You had your story mode, which you kind of played through the first time to play in a story. Then there was the second mode. I totally forgotten what the modes were, but I mean, it was like easy mode, story mode, then there was normal mode, and then there was champion mode. And story mode, only your like max armor could be like 300s, and your story mode was like 0 to 100, and then you had to play again on normal mode, and that was 100 to 200, and then you had to play it back again on champion mode in order to drop the 200 to 300% armor and weapons and everything like that. But that was a similar type game. It was the first that I ever played. I remember Diablo out there, but I don't know why I didn't play, but it wasn't sort of I didn't know what kind of game it was, and it kind of, honestly, as a kid, looked too scary for me to play, and I wasn't really into that. I mean, as an adult, now I definitely have played it, and it is fun, and it's the same thing. It's, a dungeon crawler, looter, and there's infinite. It's way more in depth than you think that it is, but there's different seasons, and I've got a friend out there, and him and his wife go ham. They've gone ham on Diablo 3, the latest release from in the series, and they've like made like 2,000 plus characters and have like 4,000 plus hours, and it's insane. They are Diablo champions. But as a kid, I mean, I played on Champions North. I grinded the heck out of that game. Or what I thought I grinded the heck out of. I mean, I played on story mode difficulty, and then I'd go up and play on the next difficulty, and it was just way too hard. And it was like unfun. Like I was just like every enemy turned into a bullet sponge essentially, and it was just me whacking enemies for hours on end in order to get a kill. But that game was a lot of fun. It was my first in sort of the dungeon crawler action adventure type game. I eventually played Diablo, and lately have played Minecraft Dungeons. As far as a hot take goes, Minecraft Dungeons, I mean, if you have never played Minecraft, I have a friend right now actually playing Minecraft for the very first time. He doesn't know why he didn't play it earlier, but he is thoroughly enjoying it. Kind of a newbie playing there. I put off playing it for a long time, and then somebody bought me the game, and I started playing, and it was quite a bit of fun. And so Minecraft Dungeons sort of is not at all like Minecraft, but it has the same palette and same story. There's like a story and everything like that, so a lot of similar elements, and it's a action adventure dungeon crawler. But it is a looter, which is a lot of fun. You can play with up to 4 people, which is also a lot of fun. You can get out there and grind levels, grind power levels, try to get better loot, try to get better loot pools, attempt to find all of the secrets that the game contains, especially with all the hidden chests and the hidden levels within the whole game, and even the secret runes. If you don't know what runes are, I will not spoil that for you. That is something for you to find out. But that has been a very fun game. As far as length, if you sit and play and just sort of go through the story, you can get through it really fast. It's not, I wouldn't say it's too terribly hard, and it requires a little bit of buffing, grinding. But I mean, if you just play through the levels, eventually you'll get what you need and can beat everything pretty handily. Maybe need to run through, maybe just need to grind for some better weapons depending upon it, but it's not too hard of a game to play, to pick up. the grind, the story is not too long. There is confirmed DLC coming. There is confirmed updates coming, especially allowing the ability to upgrade your weapons is confirmed thing that is coming. If you hover over the shop person, you can see that there is this thing called like Dust, Minecraft Dust, I think, or I forgot the name. But you can have the ability to upgrade weapons, but that hasn't been released into the game yet. But it is confirmed for the free update coming along with the DLC that's coming. It is free on Game Pass. I mean, it's free on Game Pass right now. And then the DLC has yet to be announced if it's going to be free or not, but we'll see, or see how we don't even know what costs associated with that right now. But overall, I think my review, on like a scale of 1 to 10, I think that it's a solid, I would say it's I would say it's a solid 7. I almost kind of want to go a little bit lower, like a 6.5 almost. I mean, 6.5 to 7 is sort of what I want. So, but I don't want to go into a point scale. So I just want to go in like a 7. It is a solid game. It's an excellent game. It's a little bit short. As far as playability, I mean, if you're just a grinder and out there playing, you're going to get over and done with pretty quickly. And there's not going to be a lot more to play for a little bit until the DLC releases or until they release new updates and everything like that. They don't really have an established end game right now as far as, what you need to do to continue to increase level, or as far as what that goes. I mean, there's plenty of levels. I think common enchantments only cost like 1, 2, and 3 respectively, where powerful enchantments are doubled, and they can do 2, 3, 4, and so you need to be at least a minimum level 108 in order to max out. And see, every weapon, armor, and bow can carry up to 3 enchantments on it, and if you have powerful enchantments on each of those, it comes out to be 108 enchantments to have a fully maxed out armor with all powerful enchantments. But it is a solid 7 out of 10. A little bit short on gameplay, a lot of secrets, a lot of things to find, a lot of fun to play with friends. I expect to be playing that with friends for quite a while, honestly, and having my fun with that. But I think that is going to be a fun game to play. Nice sort of relaxer from your, the sweaty FPSs that normally you would play, which is sort of a nice break. Going into the next topic, I just kind of wanted to cover the UFC card that's upcoming. I missed the last card from before, which is kind of disappointing. It was the Woodley Burns fight over the weekend. I don't know how I missed that, but I did. Pepe hands on me, huh? But yeah, we have the upcoming card this weekend. I'm just going to cover the main card. I mean, unless you're a hardcore fight fan like I am, you're not going to know who is on the early prelims/prelims, and I'm just going to cover the main card, and even you probably won't know who is on the main card. But UFC 250 June 6th on Saturday on pay-per-view. It is at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Main card starts at 7 p.m. Let's see. The main card is headlined by Amanda Nunes and Felicia Spencer, and I will get to that. But I wanted to start from the bottom. We have Eddie Wineland versus Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley, he won. He got into the UFC winning Dana White's Contender Series fight and got signed there. Let's see. His last fight was... Oh, crazy. He is already fighting again. That's so crazy. Sorry, I'm just doing some catch-up here. So he had a fight back in March 3rd of 2018. And a little while later, he got popped for out-of-competition testing for marijuana because the state that he lives in No, he tested positive. He failed test for Osterin. The Nevada State Athletic Commission decided to suspend him due to the failed test, and he was suspended for 6 months by USADA. And Osterin is in his system was likely residual from his previously failed test at UFC 229. A lot of extra information that you didn't need to know, but just in case you wanted to know. But he was suspended for a 2-year period of time back in 2018, made his return earlier this year, back in March against Jose Quinones, and he won in the first round with a head kick and punches, and he is making his next fight against Eddie Wineland. Eddie Wineland, less fight last year. He has been a staple of the sport, especially the 135-pound division, for a very long time, fighting in the WEC. I mean, he fought for the WEC for a long time, and then when the UFC bought WEC out, he came over, so that is a good fight. He's a very good striker. He's a very good grappler. Sean O'Malley is a very good fighter too, and super unorthodox. He is undefeated. Eddie Wineland is 24-13. I think, just sort of my hot take on this, I think Sean O'Malley is going to take that one. Next fight you have at welterweight versus Neil Magny versus Anthony Rocco Martin. Neil Magny is sort of the dark horse of the division, or has been for a little bit. He went on like a 15 or 10 fight win streak and was just beating guys that, he was sort of like this, like, you didn't really believe in him. He was a good fighter, but he just couldn't get it done. But for that current win streak that he was on, he was upsetting fighters left and right, and was putting on probably some of the best, like, he went on a 7 fight win streak, then lost to Damian Maia. Damian Maia is super dangerous. Won 3 more fights. TKO'd Hector Lombard, and then got lost to Lawrence Larkin, beat Johnny Hendricks, then lost to Rafael dos Anjos. So he's had he was one on, one off for a while there. Beat Carlos Condit, beat Craig White, got KO'd back last year back in 2018, and has kind of made his last fight earlier this year actually, and won by decision. He is a very dangerous fighter, and you need to watch out for him. And Anthony Rocco Martin, so a little background information on him. He's just on a 1 fight win streak right now. He also lost to Damian Maia. He did a decision victory his last fight back in 2019. He has 1 win by knockout, 9 by submission, and 7 by decision. So I think Neil Magny takes this. I just think he is such a good fighter, good grappler, and he is he's my man. I'm gonna go with him. He's my boy there. And then next time we have Aljamain Sterling versus Corey Sandhagen at the bantamweight division. Bantamweight division is the 135-pound division, if you didn't know. Aljamain Sterling, he's on a 4 fight win streak currently, beating Brett Johns, Cody Stamann, Jimmy Rivera, and Pedro Munoz. Let's see. He is 3 decisions, 1 submission in his last 4 fights. His last loss was to Marlon Moraes, back at UFC. UFC Fight Night, Swanson versus Ortega in December 9th. But he was on 2 fight win streak there. Lost a couple of fights before. He was super early, young in his career. He's very young still. So that should be a good fight. And then Corey Sandhagen, he is on a current 7 fight win streak. He has, 2 decisions, 1 submission, and 4 TKOs in his last 7 fights. He beat Rafael dos Anjos most recently. John Lineker, who was just a beast, he beat him by split decision. and then TKO'd a few guys. I mean, man, that goes all the way back to 2017. So he's only been with the UFC in his most recent 5 fights, and he has TKO'd twice, submission, and 2 decisions in that. Very good guy. I like Aljamain Sterling in that. He comes from a good camp. I think he is still training with the Cerro Longo fight team. I believe that's true. He is young. He's athletic. He's a solid IQ fighter, and I think that he takes the victory there. The next one, Aljamain Sterling and Corey Sandhagen. It's funny you see mentioned, but the next bantamweight fight, a lot of bantamweights on this card. You have Rafael Assunção versus Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt is the most recent 135-pound champ. 2 champions ago, he lost to TJ Dillashaw, and then TJ Dillashaw was beaten by. I don't think he got beaten. He got suspended at the 135-pound division, and then they had Marlon Moraes versus Henry Cejudo at the 135-pound weight, and Henry Cejudo took that. But Cody Garbrandt, a tough fighter, all out there sort of guy. He goes out just throwing, looking to get knockouts. That's what goes on. That's what we do. That's what he does. He's had very good luck in his career. If you sort of look over his first 11 fights, he was undefeated. They were pretty much all KOs except for 2 decisions. He decision Dominic Cruz in 2016 to become the champion. But that one, he sort of outclassed that. That was an insane fight. And then his next fight, he fought TJ Dillashaw and got TKO'd in the second round. And then fought TJ Dillashaw almost a year later, and was also TKO'd there. And then he fought Pedro Munoz in his most recent fight, going back to last year, and he got KO'd there. He got into a brawl. He hurt him really badly and saw red and just W-keyed for the victory, and got caught, and it ended his night early. So luckily he's taken the year off, almost more than a year off, and he should be back in fighting condition. And should be back to combat. For hopefully a comeback. He is 0-3 in his last 3 fights. Desperately needs to pick up a victory there. Rafael Assunção, a very good fighter. He was off for a long period of time. He won a fight in 2014 and then was off for almost 2 to 3 years and came back in the end of 2016 and lost to TJ Dillashaw. He's sort of fighting injuries here and there. He is 0-2. Over his last 2 fights, he lost to Corey Sandhagen, who fights right before him, and Marlon Moraes, as well as last year. So both fighters desperately looking to pick up a victory. Cody Garbrandt more so than a Rafael Assunção, but I think Cody gets it. I think hopefully he has gone back to the drawing board, still has that tenacious fire in him, comes out swinging, learns how to do, but has that sort of fight IQ to know when to stop and know when to fight. Smart-wise. So my money's on Cody Garbrandt for this week. I just think that he is a complete fighter and has the ability to pick up the win. The main card, you have Amanda Nunes versus Felisa Spencer. Amanda Nunes is the current champ and the current double champ. She is the GOAT of women's MMA right now, if you didn't know. Her last loss was in 2014 to Kat Zingano, which was at UFC 178. This is UFC 250, so it's almost been 100 different events since then. 100 pay-per-views since then, essentially. Yeah, that's so crazy. Her career is just insane. She is on a 9-fight win streak. She beat Shayna Baszler via TKO, then Sarah McMahon, Valentina Shevchenko, Miesha Tate, Ronda Rousey, Valentina Shevchenko, then Raquel Pennington, then Chris Cyborg for the UFC Women's Featherweight Championship, and she destroyed Chris Cyborg that one, and Chris Cyborg was undefeated up until that point. Then beat Holly Holm, and then most recently Jermaine Durandame at the end of December. She is the GOAT for a reason. She has knockout power in her hands, and she is a smart fighter, and she is a all-around one of the best fighters, women's and MMA fighters, and fighters in general, to ever brace the octagon. So it is a delight to see her fight. And next up, you see her fighting Felicia Spencer. Let's see. She's been in the UFC now for 3 fights. She was recently in Invicta. Previously, she was the Invicta FC featherweight champion. Featherweight is at 145 pounds, and she's fighting for. Are they fighting for the? They are fighting at featherweight. They're fighting at the featherweight. So, Amanda Nunes was she is the current bantamweight champion and the current featherweight champion. And this fight is for the featherweight championship. So this is at 145 pounds. And I think this is Amanda's first fight at 145 pounds since the Chris Cyborg fight. So this should be a lot of fun. Felicia Spencer's last win, she lost to Chris Cyborg at UFC 240 by decision, and then she beat, I don't even want to pronounce, she beat Zara Dos Santos most recently, earlier this year in February, via TKO punches. And that should be a fun fight. We should look for a good one there. Honestly, I think Amanda is going to take this one. She is looked good and looked great, and is a all-around great fighter. And Felicia Spencer, not saying that she isn't, but she is very tough. But I think that Amanda Nunes is on a different level. But yeah, that sort of wraps up topic 2. Let's see. I got Sean O'Malley. Then I got Neil Magny, Aljamain Sterling, Cody Garbrandt, and then Amanda Nunes. And I will recap this next week once the fights conclude and go from there and see how my predictions won. But yeah, another good episode here. Oh, a little bit of news that I missed. PlayStation, Sony, we're going to have an event on the 4th, and they have delayed their event until later next month, until July, to release sort of their info on the PlayStation 5. And I think that the Xbox One Series X is also going to do that as well, but that has yet to be determined yet. But yeah, another good episode. I'm getting better at not saying though I just said it 2 seconds ago. And I just said it again, but I want to keep talking and keep getting better and better. This is episode 5, and I really wanted to get some content out there and get sort of, 5 to 10 episodes and really get on the grind to get sort of content put together before I sort of upload to Spotify. And I don't have anything against uploading right now to Spotify or iTunes, but I really wanted to make sure that I was actually creating content and putting content together for you guys, for the listeners out there, especially just to make sure I didn't, you can go times where you record an episode and then it passes by, or you just don't do it, or you forget about it, or something happens, and you just need to, go out there and grind. But I'm out here grinding. I'm on episode 5 right now. I want to make a few more episodes before I sort of apply for my iTunes and Spotify playlist and get that submitted there. And get better at not saying would be a big bonus there. But that's a goal that I want to go and continue to pursue. Get a few more content out there, a few more episodes out there, and yeah, that's sort of my goal. I hope to be on Spotify and iTunes here soon, but I need to, as far as my personal goal, I want to make a few more episodes and get that going, especially out there for you guys and for the listeners out there. But appreciate all of the love and support. My family found my podcast. Shout out to my family. They were making fun of me out there, so but I appreciate it. And I didn't talk about anime. That was one of their requests that my family had asked me. I don't know why I got that all of a sudden, but they want me to talk about anime. So in the next episode, I will probably cover some anime. I was told that Dragon Ball Z is like a beginner's kiddies anime to cover. So I might have to go deeper into some my anime lore, which isn't very far, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate you guys listening. And if you have any feedback or info or anything for me, let me know at Sparrow933. Otherwise, I will upload this to SoundCloud and YouTube. And appreciate the likes, subscribes, and upvotes and likes and everything like that. And appreciate the feedback that you guys leave. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good day. Hope you guys have a great week. I will be back here later this week, and appreciate